I have 21 separate movies and TV series to get through, and I'm going to be going in chronological order. And like usual, I think it's kind of unfair to include UCS sets in these type of videos, so when it's needed, I'm just going to separate the two and pick what I think is the best UCS set from the movie, and then pick what I think is the best playset from the movie. But without further ado, starting off with the Phantom Menace, obviously the best playset from this movie is 7662 MTT. This set was released in June of 2007 and retired in December of 2008. It has 1,330 pieces and retailed for $100 US, and as many of you know, this is one of the most sought after LEGO Star Wars sets today, so it's no surprise that its value is around $900 to $1,000. Now I think it's no doubt that this is the best set from the Phantom Menace. It's one of the few LEGO Star Wars sets that I would consider to be timeless. The build is just so massive and very accurate to the source material, and on top of that you get 20 battle droids. I mean, what more could you want? And even with the large number of Phantom Menace sets coming out in 2024, I still think this one will be on top. Now, the best UCS set from the Phantom Menace, and so far the only UCS set from the Phantom Menace, is 10018 Darth Maul. This set was released in October of 2001 and retired in October of 2002. It has 1,868 pieces and retailed for $150 US, and as many of you know, this is a pretty valuable set, so if you want it new today, it's currently going for northwards of $3,000. Now, I mean, like I said, this is the only UCS set from the Phantom Menace, so obviously it's the only one I could pick, but that doesn't make it bad in any way. This is actually a really interesting set. It's the only UCS bust that we have ever gotten, and I think for 2001, LEGO did an incredible job. A lot of people say it looks really scary, but I mean, it's Darth Maul, of course it's supposed to look scary, and that's part of what makes it really awesome. And despite it being basically a completely brick-built model, it looks very nice and very detailed. Moving on to Attack of the Clones, I think the best playset and the best UCS set from this movie are both kind of no-brainers, and with the best playset, I'm going with 75021 Republic Gunship. This set was released in June of 2013 and retired in December of 2014. It has 1,175 pieces and retailed for $120 US, and this is another very sought-after set, and its current value is around $600 to $700. Now, like the MTT, I think this is another set that is basically timeless. In my opinion, it's easily the best Republic Gunship that LEGO has made. It's very sleek and it's minifigure scale and has a pretty decent minifigure lineup. However, the only downside I have with this set is that it doesn't include 2 clone pilots. And when talking about UCS sets from Attack of the Clones, there are only 2 in question, that being the UCS Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter from 2010 and then the UCS Republic Gunship from 2021, and I think obviously the UCS Gunship is the better of the two. It was released in August of 2021 and just retired in December of 2023. It has 3,292 pieces and originally retailed for $350, but then later got bumped up to $400, and I mean, this one is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I have to go too in-depth. It's definitely not the best UCS set LEGO has made, not even really close to be honest in my opinion. However, it is the better one from the 2 that LEGO has made from Attack of the Clones. Now moving on to the first TV series on this list, we have the Clone Wars, specifically the 2003 Clone Wars miniseries. And there was only one set that LEGO ever produced from this show, and that was 75087 Anakin's Custom Jedi Starfighter. The set was released in January of 2015 and retired in December of 2016. It has 370 pieces and retailed for $40 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $200 to $300. Now this set is definitely overlooked, mainly because the 2003 Clone Wars miniseries isn't super popular today. However, it's still a really awesome set. I actually think it's a great set. The modified design of Anakin's Jedi Starfighter just looks really awesome, and on top of that, you get a really awesome Asajj Ventress minifigure that's based off of the show. And now moving on to the Clone Wars that you guys are all familiar with, obviously the best playset without a doubt from this show is 10195 Republic Dropship with AT-OT. This set was released in May of 2009 and retired in December of 2011. It has 1,758 pieces and retailed for $250, making it the biggest playset we've ever seen. And if you want this set new today, it is very valuable, going for around $2,000 to $3,000. Now, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone saw this coming. This is one of the best LEGO Star Wars sets ever made. A lot of people try to say it's overrated. I don't think it's overrated at all. Both of the models are absolutely gorgeous, especially for 2009, and the functionality of the dropship picking up the walker is just awesome. And on top of that, you get 6 regular Phase 1 clone troopers and 2 pilots, and a lot of people complain that there aren't any specific characters in this set. However, I don't mind that at all. I think in a set like this that's just 2 giant Republic vehicles, there's no problem with getting only clone troopers. And now the best UCS set, and so far the only UCS set from the Clone Wars, is obviously 75367 Venator Class Republic Attack Cruiser. This set was released in October of 2023 and obviously has not retired yet. It has 5,374 pieces and retails for $650. Now I'm sure that most of you guys have seen all sorts of content made on this set, so there's not a lot to go over. However, in short, it's my favorite set in my collection. I think the model is absolutely beautiful. I really don't think LEGO could have done a better job with the build itself. The only downside I have is that a few of the stickers are sort of off-colored and they don't really match the color of the bricks, but other than that, the model is perfect and the set as a whole is pretty much perfect, but besides the Captain Rex. Now moving on to Revenge of the Sith, my favorite Star Wars movie, or actually one of two of my favorite Star Wars movies. Anyways, I think the best set from this movie is 75337 ATTE Walker. This set was released in August of 2022 and has not retired yet. It has 1,082 pieces and retails for $140. Now for the best playset from episode 3, I think this ATTE is actually almost tied with the 2014 ATAP. I think they're both incredible sets, and if you think the ATAP is better, I don't blame you. However, to me, I think the ATTE gets the upper edge just a little bit, mainly because the build is basically perfect. I don't think LEGO could make a better playscale ATTE, and the clones, despite them not looking as good as they could, it is nice that we got 5 of them in one set along with a lot of battle droids. And now the best UCS set from episode 3, being the only UCS set from episode 3, is 10186 General Grievous. This set was released in May of 2008 and then retired in December of 2008, giving it a lifespan of less than 1 year. It has 1,085 pieces and it retailed for $90 US, and if you want this set new today, it's going for around $400 to $600. Now like I said, this is the only UCS set from this movie, but it's still a really awesome set. It's one of the most unique buildable characters we've ever gotten, and it's also a really awesome looking display piece. Moving on to another series, we have the Bad Batch, and I think the best set from the Bad Batch is 75314 the Bad Batch Attack Shuttle. This set was released in August of 2021 and retired in December of 2022. It has 969 pieces and retailed for $100 US, and if you want this set new today, it's going for around $140. Now LEGO has only made 2 sets from the Bad Batch, just this one and the Justifier, and I think this one is obviously better than the Justifier. However, it's definitely not a perfect set. The figures and the shuttle are pretty cool, however the main problem is that the shuttle is light blue when it should be more of a grayish color, and this caused a lot of controversy when it came out. Some people liked the blue, some people wanted it to be gray, but despite what you think about this set, I still think it's the best that LEGO has made from the Bad Batch. Now moving on to a movie that some of you guys have probably forgotten about, being Solo: A Star Wars Story, and I think the best set from this movie is 75211 Imperial TIE Fighter. This set was released in April of 2018 and retired in July of 2019. It has 519 pieces and retailed for $70 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $200. Now, a lot of people look over this set because it's from Solo, however, I think it's almost perfect. In my opinion, it's by far the best TIE Fighter build that LEGO has ever given us, and on top of that, you get 4 awesome exclusive minifigures, including the Mim Bond Trooper and the Imperial version of Han Solo, just to name a few. And now, next up, we have a bunch of different TV shows all in a row. Starting off with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, there were only 2 sets made from this show, one being the Inquisitor Transport Scythe, and the other being Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader, and I'm pretty sure every single one of us can agree that the Transport Scythe is the better set of the 2. It was released in August of 2022 and just retired in December of 2023. It has 924 pieces and retailed for $100 US, and I think this set is awesome. I'd even say it's near perfect. 920 pieces for $100 is a great deal, and this ship looks super awesome. It reminds me of Krennic's Imperial Shuttle, which is one of my favorite sets of all time, and on top of that, you get the 3 main Inquisitors along with Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, what more characters could you want? I honestly don't think LEGO really could have done a better job with this set. And then next up, we have Star Wars Rebels, and I think the best set from Star Wars Rebels is 75150 Vader's TIE Advance versus A-Wing Starfighter. This set was released in June of 2016 and retired in December of the same year. It has 702 pieces and retailed for $90 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $200 to $250. Now, just like the Transport Scythe, this is another set that I'd say is basically near perfect. You get 2 incredible Starfighter builds in one set, and on top of that, the minifigure lineup is very nice as well, with 3 exclusive minifigures. And then next up, we have a super underrated show in my opinion. It actually might be the best show that Disney has produced for Star Wars, and that is Andor, and LEGO has only made made one set from this show, and that is 75338 Ambush on Ferrix. This set was released in August of 2022 and retired in December of 2023. It has 679 pieces and retailed for $70 US. Like I said, this is the only set LEGO made from this show, but they did a really good job on it. I think the speeder and the transport are both really cool builds. Yes, the transport looks a little bit goofy, but I mean, it looks pretty goofy in the show, so I don't think LEGO did a bad job. And on top of that, you get 3 minifigures that are all pretty prominent characters in the show. And like I said about the show, I think it's super underrated. And again, yes, I think this is probably the best Star Wars show that Disney has made. And I really hope LEGO considers making more sets from it when season 2 rolls around. And now moving on to my other favorite Star Wars movie, which is Rogue One. Remember how I said episode 3 was one of 2 of my favorite Star Wars movies? Well, yeah, to me, Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One are both tied for my favorite Star Wars movie. But anyways, that's getting off topic. I think the best set from this movie is 75156 Krennic's Imperial Shuttle. This set was released in September of 2016 and retired in July of 2018. It has 863 pieces and retailed for $90 US, and if you want the set new today, it's currently going for around $250. This set is absolutely awesome. I think it's one of the best shuttles that LEGO has ever made. It just looks great on display, whether you have the wings opened or whether you have them up in their landing position, and it has an awesome minifigure lineup as well, being the only set to include Director Krennic and the first set to include Imperial Death Troopers. And now moving on to episode 4, A New Hope, I think the best playset from this movie is 75055 Imperial Star Destroyer. This set was released in June of 2014 and retired in December of 2015. It has 1,359 pieces and retailed for $130 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $500. This was the second playscale Star Destroyer that LEGO made, and I think they made a significant upgrade from the 2006 version. It's a lot more sleek and it's a lot more modern looking, and it has a way better build, and I think it pretty much has a perfect minifigure lineup as well. And when talking about the best UCS set from episode 4, I'm pretty sure everyone can agree that it's the 2019 UCS Star Destroyer. I mean, this is one of the best LEGO Star Wars sets ever made. If you watched my ranking every UCS sets video, I actually put this at number 1. It's just such an awesome looking display piece, and I think it's the best UCS set LEGO has made so far and the best UCS set from A New Hope. And now moving on to episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, I think the best playset from this movie is 75288 AT-AT. This set was released in August of 2020 and retired in December of 2023. It has 1,267 pieces and retailed for $170. In my opinion, this is easily the best playscale AT-AT that LEGO has made. I mean, they just blew it out of the water with this remake. It's a lot bigger than the previous models, and I think they got the proportions down perfectly. And on top of that, the minifigure lineup was literally perfect. I don't think they could have done any better. And then the best UCS set from episode 5, who would have guessed it's the UCS AT-AT? I mean, this thing is just crazy. I mean, I honestly am still surprised that this even exists. I mean, people always talked about LEGO making a minifigure scale AT-AT, and I just never thought it was going to happen. But then in November of 2021, LEGO released one of the most ambitious Star Wars sets ever made. Now moving on to episode 6, Return of the Jedi. This was one of the harder movies to pick the best playset from, but I ended up going with 75094 Imperial Shuttle Tidarium. This set was released in June of 2015 and retired in December of 2016. It has 937 pieces and retailed for $100 and if you want the set new today, it's currently going for around $200. Again, like the AT-AT, I think this is the best playscale version of the Imperial Shuttle that LEGO has made. It really was the best price and size for a ship like this in playscale, and I've always thought it was interesting how LEGO themed it around the stolen Imperial Shuttle and gave it only Rebel minifigures. And then the best UCS set from Return of the Jedi is without a doubt the UCS Imperial Shuttle. I don't know if you've caught on yet, but for every original trilogy movie, every set has been the same ship for both UCS and playscale. I didn't plan it out this way, that's just how it ended up, but still, I think this is the best UCS set from Return of the Jedi and one of the best UCS sets ever made. And now moving on to The Mandalorian, I think the best playset from this TV show is 75348 Mandalorian Fangfighter vs TIE Interceptor. This set was released in May of 2023 and has not retired yet. It has 957 pieces and retails for $100. Now I think this set is incredible. The TIE Interceptor is one of the coolest ships in Star Wars, and it's so nice that we got to see it in LEGO form again. And the Mandalorian Fangfighter, while not being as cool as the TIE Interceptor obviously, is still a really nice build and a cool looking ship, and unsurprisingly, they both pair very well with each other, making a great versus set. And then the best UCS set from The Mandalorian, also being the only UCS set from The Mandalorian, is obviously 75331, the Razor Crest. This set was released in October of 2022 and has not retired yet. It has 6,187 pieces and retails for $600 US. Now, until the UCS Venator came out, this was the only UCS set that LEGO had made based off of a Star Wars series, and I think they definitely took a risk picking the Razor Crest to be the first set to do that. However, in the end, it turned out to be a good decision because this set looks awesome and it also has a nice minifigure lineup. And now moving on to probably one of the worst TV shows for Star Wars that Disney has produced, being The Book of Boba Fett. And ironically, the best set from this TV show doesn't even include Boba Fett, being 75325, The Mandalorian's N1 Starfighter. This set was released in June of 2022 and has not retired yet. It has 412 pieces and retails for $60 US. And again, it's a bit ironic that the best set from a TV show based off of Boba Fett doesn't even include Boba Fett. And what's even more ironic is that the best episodes from the Book of Boba Fett were the ones that featured the Mandalorian. Anyways, that's kind of off topic. This set is pretty cool. A lot of people really like it. I've always thought it was kind of overrated just because a repurposed Naboo Starfighter is not that interesting to me. However, still, it's definitely the best set from this series. And now moving on to the most recent Star Wars series, we have one of the best play sets ever made, being 75357 Ghost and Phantom 2. This set was released in September of 2023 and has not retired yet. It has 1,394 pieces and retails for $160 US. Now, I've talked about this set many times recently, and still I think it's one of the best sets that was released in 2023. The model is just so impressive at a play scale level. There's loads of detail. They got the shaping and proportions down perfectly, and on top of that, you get a really nice minifigure lineup. And now, finally making our way into sequel territory, starting off with a TV show that I guarantee most of you guys have probably forgotten about, and that is Star Wars Resistance. And the best set from this show, in my opinion, is 75240 Major Von Reg's TIE Fighter. This set was released in April of 2019 and retired in December of 2020. It has 496 pieces and retailed for $70 US, and if you want it new today, it's only going for around $120. Now, I mean, this set looks cool. It's a red TIE Interceptor. I never watched the show and I don't really care to, so I don't have much to say about it, but I mean, the ship looks cool. That's really it. Now, actually moving on to the sequel movies, first up we have The Force Awakens, and as the best Force Awakens set, I have 75102 Poe's X-Wing Fighter. This set was released in September of 2015 and retired in July of 2018. It has 717 pieces and retailed for $80 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $150 to $200. Now, the sequels were not good movies, however, they did have some really awesome looking ships and vehicles, and some of my favorite ones were the recolored Rebel Starfighters, and I think out of all of them, Poe's X-Wing is the best. It's such a sleek and awesome looking design, and the black and orange colorway is just so unique, and on top of that, the minifigure lineup isn't bad either. I think this set as a whole, despite being from the sequels, is really good. And then next up, we have the worst Star Wars movie ever made, being The Last Jedi, and I think the best set from this movie is 75189 First Order Heavy Assault Walker, or the ATM-6. This set was released in September of 2017 and retired in July of 2019. It has 1,376 pieces and retailed for $150 US. And if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $200. Now, some of you might say that Kylo Ren's TIE Fighter is the best set from this movie, but I don't think that's the case at all. The ATM-6, despite being from a terrible movie, is one of the coolest walkers we've ever seen in Star Wars, and I'm not even joking about that. The shots of it on crate in The Last Jedi just look so awesome, and LEGO pretty much perfectly recreated that walker here at a play scale level, and I think it looks perfect. And now, finally moving on to the last Star Wars movie that was made, being The Rise of Skywalker. The best set from this movie, I think all of you guys know what this is about to be, is 75256 Kylo Ren Shuttle. This set was released in October of 2019 and retired in December of 2021. It has 1,005 pieces and retailed for $130 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $200. Now again, like the sets from episode 7 and episode 8, despite being a sequel set, this set looks really cool, and it's definitely a massive upgrade from the 2015 Kylo Ren shuttle, because that shuttle was the wrong color and its wings could not open, and all of those problems were fixed in this remake, and LEGO did a great job. I think this is actually probably the best sequel set that we've ever gotten, and if there's any ship that I would like to see a UCS version of from the sequels, it would be this one. Going in chronological order, starting off with the Phantom Menace, the worst set from this movie in my opinion is 7121 Naboo Swamp. This set was released in April of 1999 and retired in December of 2000. It has 82 pieces, and back in 1999 it only retailed for $10 US, but if you want this set new sealed in the box today in 2024, you're going to be looking at paying around $100 to $150. Now you might be thinking, well, oh, it isn't fair to pick this set because it was released in 1999, but if you actually take a look at all the sets that were released in 1999, this one is way below the rest. The other ones, even if they're not that good for today's standards, obviously, still have a lot of effort that was put into them, whether it be a ship or a pod racer or a Vulture droid, they all had some type of design that was unique in 1999. However, this set was literally just a blue plate with a few 2x2s, and compared to all the other 1999 sets, it's just not that innovative, and I think it was the worst set released this year and the worst set from the Phantom Menace. Moving on to Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, the worst set from this movie in my opinion is 75206 Jedi and Clone Troopers Battle Pack. This set was released in April of 2018 and retired in July of 2019. It has 102 pieces and retailed for $15 US, and if you want it new today, it's currently going for around $50. Now, as many of you know, this is considered one of the worst battle packs because it includes Ki-Adi-Mundi and Barriss Offee for absolutely no reason, and not only does it really make it one of the worst, it also just made it waste so much potential. If this set would have included a clone pilot and then an extra Phase 1 clone trooper, it would have been one of the best battle packs ever made. But no, LEGO threw in Barriss Offee and Ki-Adi-Mundi for no apparent reason, and if you think, oh, it was for kids to get Jedi in a cheap set, they easily could have put them in a $20 or $25 set and not a battle pack. So still to this day, I am disappointed that this really could have been one of the best battle packs ever made, but instead they decided to throw in 2 Jedi. Next up would be the 2003 Clone Wars miniseries, but we have only ever gotten one set from that series, being 75087 Anakin's Custom Jedi Starfighter, and that happens to be a really awesome set, so I'm just gonna have to go ahead and skip over this series. But now moving on to the actual 2008 Clone Wars, the worst set from this series in my opinion is 75199 General Grievous's Combat Speeder. This set was released in January of 2018 and retired in December of 2019. It has 157 pieces and retailed for $30 US, and if you want the set new today, it's currently going for around $80. Now this set doesn't have a bad build or anything. I mean, the build itself is pretty good. It's detailed and it's well built and it's pretty modern. It's just the problem is that it is very oversized, like really oversized, and if LEGO really wanted to make this vehicle, I actually think it would have worked best as a poly bag, but no, instead they decided to blow it up and make it $30 and try to milk as much out of it as they possibly could. Moving on to Star Wars Episode 3 of Revenge of the Sith, the worst set from this movie in my opinion is 7257 Ultimate Lightsaber Duel. This set was released in April 2005 and retired in December of the same year. It has 282 pieces and retailed for $30 US, but if you want it new today, it's currently going for around $400 to $500. Now this actually is a pretty rare and valuable set, one because it didn't have a very long lifespan, and also it was the only set to include the light up lightsaber versions of Anakin and Obi-Wan. So obviously that makes a sealed copy of this set pretty sought after for collectors like myself. However, if you take away the collecting value of it and just the significance of the light up minifigures, the set itself is not that good. It's very sloppy looking compared to all of the other 2005 sets, and it definitely has a great idea of being able to make Anakin and Obi-Wan fight each other. However, the play feature doesn't even work that well, and they often fall off of the sticks they sit on. So while a sealed copy of this set is a collector's dream, the actual build itself is pretty bad. Next up we had the Bad Batch, and LEGO has only made 2 sets from this show so far, and as the best set from this show, I picked the Bad Batch Attack Shuttle, so then that means as the quote-unquote worst set from this show, I have to pick 75323 the Justifier. When it really isn't a bad set, it's just not as good as the Bad Batch Shuttle. It's definitely a well-built model, and it's also pretty big, and it was the set that finally saw the return of Cad Bane, but the reason I think it's worse than the Bad Batch Shuttle is just because in universe, the ship is just not very interesting, and LEGO did do a good job at capturing it. It's just coincidentally not going to be that interesting because the ship in universe isn't that interesting. Moving on to Solo, a Star Wars story, the worst set from this movie in my opinion is 75210 Moloch's Land Speeder. This set was released in April of 2018 and retired in July of 2019. It has 464 pieces and retailed for $40 US, and if you want it new today, it's well still going for around $40. And its current value not changing after being retired for almost 5 years should really tell you that this set is not that good. I personally own this set, it's just uninteresting, the speeder design is just boring, it's basically just a giant brick. Han Solo's land speeder looks a lot cooler and is way more unique, this one is just pretty boring. Next up we have the Kenobi series, and just like the Bad Batch, there were only 2 sets released from this series, and it's pretty obvious that the Inquisitor scythe is the better of the two, so unfortunately the quote-unquote worst set from Kenobi is 75334 Obi-Wan Kenobi vs Darth Vader. Now I said quote-unquote because I do have to say this set did get a little too much hate. Yes, it is just a gray concrete slab, but it actually has a lot of really awesome and interesting hidden play features, and on top of that, the minifigure lineup is really nice as well, especially that Ned B droid. Next up we have Star Wars Rebels, and the worst set from this series in my opinion is 75048 The Phantom. This set was released in June of 2014 and retired in December of 2015. It has 234 pieces and retailed for $25, and if you want it new today, it's currently going for around $200. And the only reason it's valuable is because it includes Ezra with this helmet, but if you look past that, the build is pretty boring and uninteresting, and also that exposed spring-loaded shooter that was just slapped right on the top looks pretty bad, and what was even worse was that this set could actually attach to the back of the 2014 Ghost. However, you had to buy both of these sets separately, and I think this set would have worked best if it was just included in the Ghost, but instead they made it its own separate set, which just wasn't a very good idea. Next up would be Andor. However, we have only gotten one set from this show so far, being 75338 Ambush on Ferrix, and that happens to be a pretty solid set, so I'm just gonna have to go ahead and skip over this series. That means that next up we have Rogue One, and before I get into it, I have to say I don't think there is a single bad set from Rogue One. Every single set released from this movie was near perfect. However, there is one that I think is the weakest out of the bunch, and that is 75164 Rebel Trooper Battle Pack. This set was released in January of 2017 and retired in December of the same year. It has 120 pieces and retailed for $15, and if you want it new today, it's currently going for around $50. Now I said this is quote-unquote the weakest out of the bunch, but it's still a really awesome set, and I happen to love all of the Rebel Battle Packs because we never get Rebel Troopers that often, and the ones included in this battle pack were some of the best we've ever gotten. And I mean, like I said, Rogue One didn't have one single bad set in my opinion. That should really tell you a lot about this movie and the sets that we got from it, so Lego, we need more. Next up we have Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, and the worst set from this movie in my opinion is 75237 TIE Fighter Attack. This set was released in January of 2019 and retired in July of 2020. It has 77 pieces and retailed for $20 US, and if you want it new today, it's currently going for around $50. Now for this movie, I was going to include both this TIE Fighter and the 4+ X-Wing that released alongside it, and they're both pretty bad, but at least the X-Wing came with that cool little turret build. This TIE Fighter is just a bad looking model, and the side build is nothing special at all. Like most 4+ sets, it's pretty ugly and pretty dumbed down, and you might be thinking, oh, it's for 4-year-olds, it's so they can learn how to build. And honestly, I think that's pretty stupid. I don't think these 4+ sets should even exist. I think the best way for little kids to learn how to build Legos is battle packs or minifigure packs. 4+ sets are just ugly builds that are a waste of a spot for another set. Moving on to Star Wars Episode 5 The Empire Strikes Back, the worst set from this movie in my opinion is a set that some of you guys might not even know exists, and that is 75239 Action Battle Hoth Generator Attack. This set was released in April 2019 and retired in July of 2020. It has 235 pieces and retailed for $30 US, and if you want it new today, it's currently going for still around $30. And like I said, some of you have probably never even heard of this set. It was sort of this failed sub-theme of Star Wars where Lego tried to release these like action playsets that had these big cannons and these big targets, and as you can see, it's just a pretty goofy set and there's not much going on. Next up we have Star Wars Episode 6 Return of the Jedi, and the worst set from this movie in my opinion is 75332 ATST. This set was released in August of 2022 and just retired in December of 2023. It has 87 pieces and retailed for $35. Now this set did have an all-exclusive minifigure lineup, but besides that, this set is just trash. Like I said, I don't think 4+ sets should exist. They're just goofy, overpriced sets that are just a waste of a spot that could be used for a different set. And again, if a kid needs to get introduced into Lego, I think they should get a battle pack, which is a lot cooler and literally half the price. Moving on to The Mandalorian, the worst set from this series in my opinion is 75312 Boba Fett's Starship. This set was released in August of 2021 and just retired in December of 2023. It has 593 pieces and retailed for $50. Now I might get a lot of backlash for this, but honestly I don't care. I really do not like how down downsized they made this set. I mean, yes, the model is well built, it has good detail and good proportions, but the fact they made it so downsized is just ridiculous to me. Like, if LEGO ever made a midi-scale Slave 1, I would imagine it'd look exactly like this. I just don't think it was necessary to downsize the Slave 1 this much. I mean, I get downsizing it a bit, but I think it easily could have been a $70 set and not downsized all the way down to $50 to where it's just this tiny little model that barely represents the size of the ship. Next up, we have the Book of Boba Fett, and out of the two sets that LEGO made for this show, I think the worst one of the two is 75326 Boba Fett's Throne Room. This set was released in March of 2022 and retired in December of 2023. It has 732 pieces and retailed for $100. Now, this set isn't absolutely terrible, and it has a really awesome minifigure lineup. It's just really mediocre for a recreation of Jabba's palace, especially compared to the 2012 version. I like how LEGO tried to put more emphasis on the interior, but I just don't think it looks that good. Moving on to Ahsoka, there were 3 sets released from the show, and none of them are really that bad, but the weakest of the 3 is 75362 Ahsoka Tano's T6 Jedi Shuttle. This set was released in September of 2023 and has not retired yet. It has 601 pieces and retails for $80 US. Now, this set is the weakest of the 3 from the show, mainly because the other 2 sets are near perfect. This one is downsized, but that doesn't really bother me because it has a lot of detail and is definitely a really solid build. Really, the main thing that bothers me with this set is that the wings are supposed to spin around the cockpit, and on the underside there is no detailing at all. It is just gray panels, which definitely does take away from the look. Next up, we have Star Wars Resistance, and there were only 2 sets released from this show, but the weaker one of the 2, in my opinion, is 75242 Black Ace TIE Interceptor, and it is the weakest set from the show. However, I don't think it's a bad set, despite it being from sequels material that I guarantee most of you probably didn't even watch. The build is actually really awesome looking, and it includes really awesome minifigures, especially that pilot with the skull printed on his helmet. Next up, we have The Force Awakens, and the worst set from this movie in my opinion is 75297 Resistance X-Wing Starfighter. This set was released in March of 2021 and retired in December of 2022. It has 60 pieces and retailed for $20, and if you want it new today, it's still going for around $20. Again, this is another garbage 4+ set that shouldn't even exist. You guys know my stance on this by now. I mean, the least they could have done was include some type of cool side build like they did for the episode 4 X-Wing, but no, it's just the goofy little X-Wing build. Next up, we have The Last Jedi, and obviously the worst set from this movie is the infamous 75201 First Order ATST. This set was released in January of 2018 and retired in December of the same year. It has 370 pieces and retailed for $40 US, and if you want it new today, it's currently going for around $60. Now, I'm sure almost all of you guys have heard of this set and heard of how bad it is. I mean, it's so infamous to the point where it has almost become a legendary set of its own, and that's just because of the memes. The actual set is nowhere near legendary. It really is just a headless First Order ATST, and talk about wasted potential, because they could have easily included the head and made this a $50 or $60 set, and it would have looked really awesome because I love the design of the First Order ATSTs, and I think this could have been a great set, but no, they decide to perfectly recreate the scene where the head comes off in The Last Jedi, and obviously that decision made this one of the worst sets ever made. And then lastly, we have The Rise of Skywalker, and the worst set from this movie in my opinion is a set that really had the potential to be one of the best sequel sets that LEGO ever made, and that is 75284 Knights of Ren Transport Ship. This set was released in August of 2020 and retired in December of 2021. It has 595 pieces and retailed for $70 US, and if you want this set new today, it's still going for around $70. I remember at the time leading up to this set, everyone was wanting LEGO to make the Knights of Ren and make the Knights of Ren Transport Ship, and they finally did it, but they ended up giving us a $70 set with a vehicle that has no interior and only include 3 minifigures, one of those minifigures being Rey, so we only get 2 of the Knights of Ren in this set. And I said this easily could have been one of the best sequel sets ever made if they included all of the Knights of Ren as well as Kylo Ren and just made the vehicle bigger. I mean, this could have easily been a $130, $140, maybe even a $150 set, but no, this is all we got, and it was very disappointing at the time. Anyways guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know what you think about my picks down in the comments below, and if you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the screen right now.